Today, the colors will be presented by the New Bedford High School JROTC.
Guard, halt, center, face, present, arms. Sir, the colors are present.
Thank you. Order arms.
Thank you, sir. Order, arms. Center, face. Ready, post. Guard, halt, about, face. Rifle, parade, rest.
All right, this time, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Present, arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms.
At this time, the national anthem will be led by Mr. Jim Leal.
I want to welcome everyone here, especially our greatest generation in the Second World War. How I love you guys. My two brothers were in the Second World War, and they both passed on. And you guys are the greatest generation ever. You guys taught us so much. Matter of fact, I remember when I first went into the service, I felt like a Boy Scout compared to the rest of you fellas. And I'm welcoming you all here, and I love you all. Thank you. And could I please have Linda Morad come up here to join me, please? Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light with such proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, who brought stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. For those ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leo, for leading that national anthem. At this time, we're going to have Mr. Oliver Moreau come up and lead us in a prayer.
Uncover, please. Today we're here to pay homage to our past servicemen who've given us the freedom of this country in all their battles, and we'd like to say a prayer for all the veterans. Almighty God, today on this commemoration of World War II monument, we pause to honor the valor and sacrifice of all who have served in the armed forces of this great nation of ours. Those who served in times of peace and those who bravely fought in times of war. We thank you for the selfless service of those who gave their lives for the liberties and freedoms we enjoy today. Grant relief to those who continue to experience emotional or physical agony from the days of combat. Give us as a grateful nation a sense of responsibility for their welfare. Comfort their families and friends who mourn for loved ones who died while performing their duty to our country. We recognize and appreciate their sacrifice, and we share their loss. O gracious God, we commend to your care and keeping all the men and women of our armed forces serving at home, abroad today, and especially in the places of risk. Defend them by day, give them strength and courage to face the dangers they encounter. Bless them, keep them safe, and bring them home.
Before we lead into the next part of this agenda, I would just like to say, as a Operation Iraqi Freedom veteran who's been deployed into combat, I would just like to thank the World War II guys who have fought and was able to keep this country free and gave me the opportunity to join a military that was free and voluntary because it was you guys who set up that plan for us. The guys who I served with have all recognized the veterans who have come before them and know that the military today isn't the way it is today because of the people who were behind. I probably messed it up a little bit, but again, I just, from the bottom of my heart, would want to thank all the World War II guys and everybody that has served in the military, past, present, and the guys who will join in the future. At this time, I'd like to call up the mayor of the city, Honorable Scott Ling.
Thank Chris Gomes, our veterans agent, for all his sacrifice to our country and the job that he does every day here for the veterans in the city of New Bedford. I want to acknowledge all of our guests here today, all of our citizens, all the vets that are here today. We have a number of public servants who are here today paying tribute to our World War II veterans. I want to first introduce and welcome Congressman Bill Keating and his wife Tevis, who is with us this morning. Thank you very much, Congressman. I want to recognize from our state delegation Representative Chris Markey and Representative Keiko Oral, who are here with us today. I also want to recognize our registrar, Mark Tredup, Vietnam vet, who is here today with us, and thank him for being here. And then I want to recognize our city council, and I can tell you there's no city council in the United States that honors its veterans and protects its veterans' rights more vigorously than our city council here in New Bedford. I want to acknowledge the president of the city council, Brian Gomes. I want to acknowledge Ward 1 councilor, Linda Morad, Ward 5 councilor, Jane Gonzalez, Ward 6 councilor, Joe Lopes. I also want to welcome into public service Councilor-elect from Ward 3, Henry Bousquet. And the last thing that I want to say before I start is that I am very honored to be here today with my wife, Gig. Gig is a daughter of a Purple Heart decorated combat vet from World War II, and we understand the meaning of service to the colors in both of our families, and I want to welcome Gig here with us as well. Now, I have some remarks, and then we have a very, very important program as we're going to hear from a number of World War II vets that are with us today. We gather here today at Fort Tabor to rededicate the city of New Bedford's World War II monument. This monument was originally dedicated on November 10th, 1996. It was located in Buttonwood Park, just to the northwest of the Walden Barracks, and just 25 feet north from the World War I monument. Both monuments were obscured by the WWII stone wall that runs west to east along Route 6. On Memorial Day of this year, Commander Alvin Fuller of the New Bedford Legion Post 1, along with a number of World War II veterans, asked if the World War II monument could be moved to a more visible location. I want to thank all of the organizations and the Veterans Advisory Board for working with my administration to make this a reality. I would also like to thank at this time Ron LaBelle, Zeb Baruta, and all of the highly skilled city workers from the Department of Public Infrastructure for their care in moving the World War I and the World War II monuments to Fort Tabor. A special thank you goes out to the National Park Service and Governor Patrick's administration for working cooperatively with City Solicitor Eileen Shaw to expedite all permitting for this relocation. New Bedford has a rich patriotic history. On September 5th, 1778, 3 New Bedford military men, Thomas Cook, Abram Russell, and Dan Trafford, died in a battle with British troops during the War of the Revolution. New Bedford citizens have distinguished themselves in every single war or military campaign this country has engaged in ever since. During World War II, 251 of New Bedford's young men were killed. Their lives are memorialized again today with this rededication. To commemorate our citizens' service, over 50 military memorials are located within this city. Each one pays special tribute to the men and women who have served in the armed forces. Each is a monument to the individual's love of God, country, family, and of our city. But just as important, each serves as a teaching moment for all of our citizens, for our young people, and for future generations. This lesson is simple, yet dramatic. Collective sacrifice by all will preserve our liberty. The men and women who gave their lives can never be forgotten. Their families' losses must always be remembered. For those veterans who returned, and for those young men and women who serve in our armed forces today, we must always be grateful for their service and their sacrifice. The relocation of the World War II monument was an important and complicated task. But for what purpose? Why do we all gather here today? It's not for the relocation of a stone monument. Rather, it is an honor and memory of the men and women for which it stands, and it is to honor the World War II veterans and their families who are with us today. The men and women who served the United States of America in World War II were patriots. Their efforts saved our democracy and the free world. They dropped their tools, left their jobs, schools, and families, and by their selfless acts became known as and are the greatest generation. Like all wars, World War II was men against men, country against country, but it was the first modern war. In many instances, men fighting against horrific killing machines. Extraordinary acts of courage and bravery were exhibited by our World War II veterans every moment they fought for America and its allies. The men and women who served formed a unified team with one goal: victory. From foot soldier to sailors, to pilots, to artillerymen, to tank crews, every military operation required logistical support, supply lines, and home front support, which involved the total war effort. Every citizen in this city was directly involved in the war campaign in one fashion or another. Each branch of the service relied upon each other as well. The Army Air Corps, the Navy, the Marines, the Coast Guard, and our merchant Marines all won the war together. Without any one branch, our efforts would not have been complete. The image and the reality of America as a country, sacrificing its blood for freedom and liberating millions of people throughout the world, is the legacy of our World War II veterans. Over the past few months, in meeting with the World War II veterans of New Bedford, it rekindled something that I had learned as a young boy about the brave men and women who served in World War II. Donald Cantu, who took his military entrance exam here at Fort Rodman in 1942, is a distinguished World War II vet and a commander of AMVET. Mr. Cantu actually designed this monument in the 1990s. At a recent meeting, he stated his motivation behind the design of New Bedford's World War II monument. His explanation was simple. We veterans did not want a monument with guns and ships or tanks or planes. We wanted a monument that was dedicated to the men and women who brought peace to the world. We wanted a monument dedicated to peace. This World War II monument is noble in design and direct and powerful in its tribute to the men and women who served our country. Meeting Mr. Cantu's vision, this monument does not glorify war in any way. It is a tribute to the humanity of our veterans. In honor of our World War II veterans that are with us today and those who have passed away, I ask all New Bedford citizens to pray for the peace that they valiantly fought to restore and preserve. Everyone who enters this park will see this World War II monument. Everyone who goes to the New Bedford Military Museum will see the World War I monument. And I am sure that we will all reflect on the sacrifices made by those who came before us, so that we and future generations may live under a free flag in the greatest democracy in the history of the world. Thank you. Now, I'd like to call up at this time Donald Canto, the World War II veteran, the designer of the World War II Monument, and the commander of AMVET for his remarks.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, personally, I'd like to repeat a few of your remarks. One is to thank you very much for what you have done in regard to the monument relocation, and also to Ron LaBelle and his crew in the city of New Bedford. They have done a superb job here in the city. It's not as yet finished, but it's still great to have that. I just want to go back a little bit on this monument. When the war was over in 46, I served from 42 to 46. In fact, my classmate from the New Bedford High School is also here, same one. And soon after the war, 47, 48, so forth, we started working on sort of a monument, but it just kept putting it off, and nobody cared about it. Well, we all went on our own way, so our families and so forth, and that's how it ended up. Well, 50 years later, we finally got going. I'd like to also give a very, Milton Nissen, who belonged to the Jewish War Veterans, and had a store in town, is a very active member of the committee also in getting this monument going. So between himself, myself, and a few others, and the city council, we finally got it through. And with the compliments of the city of New Bedford, we took what they gave us, which was behind the wall. Well, that's been going on for 15 years. Everybody asks me, where is the monument? We tell them where it is. But we took it because it was given to us, and it was the only thing after 50 years. I just hope that another 50 years from now, the youngsters that we have, probably not here, but they'll remember what we said here about 50 years way past. So it took us a long time to get it going, and I think we've got a splendid location and a very good thread. And I think just in passing, I know there's a Patriots game going on. There are Patriots there, but I think the most important Patriots are right here. So thank you very much for the service and the thank you.
I would like to ask Norman Chartier from the 4th Infantry Division to come up, please.
Norman?
First of all, I may have to repeat some of the words that they said about Mayor Lang and the City Council and all that, but it is a very beautiful job out there. What an honor to have such a monument. I can't go by without stopping and looking at it. Thank you, Mr. Cantu. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council, and whoever was responsible in laboring to put that beautiful monument there. I was asked to speak a little bit about my war experience. First, I went to school and became a surgical technician for in the medical department of the Army. I was assigned to the 27th General Hospital and operated in that hospital in the United States. We then went over to England and stayed there for about 6 months and took care of the veterans for various illnesses, whatever they had. Non-combat, because there wasn't a war going on except for a few bombings now and then. And then we, during the invasion of Normandy, we landed in Normandy, and we set up huge hospital tents on the beaches and more near Monteburg, France. We took care of the patients there. Then we established a hospital in Rennes, France, and I was there again taking care of my patients. I wasn't satisfied with that. I wanted to get into combat medic. And so I asked for a transfer, and 5 of us, we transferred over, and we joined the 4th Infantry Division. At the division, they said, we need firepower. We have to train you to shoot an M1 rifle. Well, that wasn't what I wanted to do. But anyway, that's what we did. And it wasn't funny. They put us in a platoon, a combat rifle platoon, and we did our job. Finally, I went over to a medical battalion. I got myself a first aid kit, and lo and behold, I was doing the 2 jobs. I think every soldier in the Army has 2 or 3 jobs. And we so in carrying this weapon and doing what I had to do, I also took care of the wounded. We went through all of France, Germany, Luxembourg, and Belgium, and ended up in Munich, Germany. In the meantime, in February sometime, they made up a raider platoon. We would go out at night and rescue people. And whatever had to be done, blow up bridges, whatever had to be done. We were 12 men and a lieutenant. And I think we were so close to this battalion that we protected ourselves to the most. The biggest part of this was the cold. It was so freezing cold out there, you know, that it was terrible to even imagine how cold we had to fight. All you veterans know it's not easy. And I haven't seen a veteran yet in combat that didn't cry or didn't suffer. A veteran that didn't cry during battles is not a veteran of combat. Thank you.
Now I'd like to ask Calvin Siegel of 75th Infantry Division to speak.
Good afternoon, friends, and good afternoon, my fellow vets. Wednesday, as we all know, will be December 7, 2011. And on the afternoon of December 7, 1941, which was 70 years ago, a Sunday like this, I was 17 years old and had just finished playing tag football up at Buttonwood Park and returned home to see my father sitting in front of the radio. And he was not watching TV because they didn't have TV then, he was listening. But instead of listening to a football game, he was listening to the news. The news was that the United States had been attacked. This was a day of infamy, and we were basically at war. He had served in World War I and was very distressed by this and knew that we were going to have a difficult time ahead. The next day, war was declared against us on the Atlantic side. There were enemies now attacking us on the Pacific and on the Atlantic. We were ill-prepared, and our country's well-being really was at risk. I graduated from New Bedford High along with Donald that June and immediately started college and spent my 17th birthday at Fort Devens doing KP. You guys know what KP was. A few days ago, I visited the site and wanted to see what the monument really meant. And as I stood there and quietly observing this handsome scene, I wondered what message would this piece of stone with the inscription on it deliver to our visitors? I know that each individual will have his own personal reflections, but the monument, the memorial, has its message. It will remind us that 70 years ago, the safety of our nation was severely threatened. Our Navy had suffered major losses. Our Army was small and ill-equipped for real warfare. Our shipping lanes were stressed, and we were in trouble. What was our reaction? This country pulled itself quickly together, and by 1944, we had developed the world's mightiest armed force. We put 16 million men and women into uniforms, a civilian fighting force, GIs, Swabbies, Marines, WACs, Waves, and they valiantly served in all corners of the world. We built airplanes, tanks, landing craft, submarines, carriers, equipment of every kind. We had Rosie the Riveters and volunteers of all ages and capabilities. Tires and gasoline and meat were rationed. Nylon stockings were treasured. There were long lines at the phone booths in the military camps. America was at war. The people of this country worked hard then, but true to our nature, we also listened to the Andrews sisters. We danced to Glenn Miller. We admired Betty Grable, and we even laughed at Kilroy. We sang Anchors Away, To the Halls of Montezuma, The Caissons Keep Rolling Along, the Infantry Marching Song, and always, God Bless America. Star athletes and movie stars joined up. We even tolerated snafus. But America was going to win, and in August of 1944, we dropped atom bombs. The fighting ceased. Our troops were coming home. After 3.5 years of total warfare, our goal, unconditional surrender, was achieved. We were victorious. But the cost was great. 406,000 of our troops died. 672,000 men or women were wounded. Many were maimed forever. It was not easy in North Africa, Italy, D-Day, the Bulge, Bataan, Midway, Iwo Jima, Tarawa, or any far-flung battlefield, or in the stormy Atlantic or in the grueling Pacific. The stories of heroism and sacrifice are still forthcoming. Just visit our cemeteries offshore and tears will fill your eyes. But we didn't stop there. We helped restore the countries that we had mostly destroyed. We converted enemies into allies. Our returning veterans went to school under the GI Bill, and they found their old jobs again. We built today's highway system and airports, college campuses and schools. America became the world's superpower. Now that's the monument's short history, the prologue in the monument's tale. The basic message that this monument delivers is simple and true. Do what you have to do. It wasn't easy. It took sacrifices and understanding, patience and courage, but we did it. We did what we had to do, and we hope future Americans will do what they have to do. Thank you.
I want to recognize we are in the Representative's District of Tony Cabral, and Tony is here with us today, and I want to acknowledge his presence and thank him very much. And I'd like to call up to speak on behalf of the City Council, the President of the City Council, Brian Gomes.
Thank you very much, Mayor. On behalf of the New Bedford City Council, before I even bring my remarks on behalf of all of us, to the World War II veterans, Mr. Cantu, and those that are responsible, along with this administration, for moving this monument. But I want to say to the World War II veterans, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because we realize what you did, the sacrifices, and why we have the freedoms that we have. Earlier today, you heard the comments made about a Patriots game going on. Yeah, there's thousands of people right now in Foxborough enjoying that Patriots game, and you know why they're enjoying that Patriots game? Because men like you who protected our freedom, protects the freedom of those in this country, that we are able to do such things as go to a Patriots game. But while we're at a Patriots game, we can't forget how we got there and how this country has grown to be what it is, and that's because of men like you and the sacrifices that you made. And I can't even think of what it may have been like in World War II, but I do know that I see the faces all the time as a city representative, and I see the tears sometime, and I've heard the stories and the sacrifices were great. And to all of you, we appreciate that from the bottom of our hearts. Mr. Cantu, to the administration, for the rededication of this monument, this is a perfect location. I live down here, and when I drove through yesterday and I seen the monument and where it was located, I said, this is perfect. I don't think 15 years ago when it was dedicated, there was a thought of where it was located, how it would be hidden somewhat from the public and be so hard to find, knowing that it was there like most of us that are here today. Today, now the opportunity comes to the entire citizenry, the community at large, surrounding areas, to see a monument that means so much to the men and those women who may have served in that service back in the days. We appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. To all of you once more, the City Council, respectively, stands up for veterans. I don't remember a time in my 20 years that we haven't. And on behalf of my colleagues that are here this afternoon, we're here because we are dedicated to you. We are dedicated to you for the freedom that you brought to this country. God bless you all, and thank you, and have a great afternoon.
Now, just before we continue the program, and the program is now going to continue outside in a moment, I want to tell you that the area at the Waldron Barracks that has been the World War I and World War II memorial area will now become a Veterans Memorial area. It's known as Veterans Memorial Way. It'll be a Veterans Memorial for all wars, and it will be rededicated in the near future. In fact, it's almost complete. So while we moved a memorial, we certainly understood how important the Waldron barracks have been and that area of Buttonwood Park, and we're certainly going to make sure that it's an appropriate tribute to all of our veterans, regardless of the time that they've served in this course of the country and the city's history. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to move outside to the World War II memorial. When we get there, we're going to do the laying of a wreath. We are going to do a 21-gun salute, which is going to take place by Detachment 1 Alpha Battery, 101 Field Artillery Unit. Then we are going to have Robert Bromley, who's the Vice President of Fort Taber, Fort Rodman Historical Association Chair, and the Mayor's, a member of the Mayor's Veterans Advisory Board. Sound taps, and I want to point out that the bugle that Mr. Bromley is sounding taps on today, from the bugle call to the taps, is a World War I bugle that was donated to the Military Museum and just has one of the more beautiful pitches that you've ever heard. And then we will have our benediction, and then we will be led in the singing of God Bless America by Gus Freitas, who is a World War II vet and a infantryman from the Battle of the Bulge. That's correct, Gus. So we are very honored to have him here. I also want to thank Vietnam Vets Chapter 499 for the service flags that are provided. I want to thank our reenactors who are here today, and a most deserved thanks again to the New Bedford Junior ROTC. It's one of the top 10 programs in the United States, combines patriotism with tremendous student achievement, many student athletes within the junior ROTC as well. But anywhere we go, we know that they represent us proudly and that they are going to be great citizens and leaders for our country. So I want to thank them. We are going to reconvene in 5 minutes across the street at the World War II Monument for the final stages of this commemorative service, and we'll see you there in 5 minutes.
That's what I thought there was, too. Get somebody stand in front of you.
Helen.
Got the reenactors.
Buttonwood Park to the new resident, Fort Taylor. I will now sing God Bless America. God bless America.
Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from the mountain to the prairie to the ocean, wide and home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Now, I want to thank Gus Freitas. I'm going to introduce now Rabbi Hartman for a benediction. Then I'd ask all the World War II vets to please remain in place so that we can get Ed Camara to come up and take some great pictures for posterity here. So the first thing I'm going to do now is turn it over to the Rabbi for the benediction. Rabbi?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I came in just as a lay person to honor the World War II veterans, including my late father and late uncle, Gustav and Max Hartman. My uncle went and drafted in what was called the one-year draft of 1940, the peacetime draft. But Pearl Harbor happened. He didn't get back for a number of years. He was infantry in the Pacific. My father's draft was September 1942. So today we hear this one really very, very meaningful memorial. And a hope and prayer is that this should be the last of the memorials. Troops are coming home from Afghanistan, closing on Camp Victoria. We hope and pray that war should end. The words of the prophet Isaiah should come to fruition. And the babe would put the mouth of the lion and come out unscathed. When swords return to plowshares, and no more wars will happen. That's our hope, that's our dream, and that's what we're here for. World War I promised to end all wars, it didn't. World War II, unfortunately, not either. And those heroes of words that Tom Parker called the greatest generation, remember today. Those here, thank God, living with us, and those not with us anymore. God bless you all. We hope for peace, eternal peace, true peace. And the words of Isaiah will come the reality of life. Thank you all, and God bless you.